All right, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to jump on with us. So the reason that I wanted to get both Peter and David and myself on this Zoom call is to just talk about some of our thought processes around where our studios are, in this kind of COVID reopening or potentially COVID wave 2 scenario, so that we could share the conversation and some of our thought processes with our franchisees. The goal is to just kind of be, as transparent as possible, yet provide some, wisdom and guidance from a couple or three guys that have been around the block, been in franchising for quite a while and been through our share of, hardships and changes from an industry perspective. So, one thing I think is interesting about the three of us as a group is that we almost represent every scenario possible, in franchising. So my 5 locations in California right now are open and have been open for, a few weeks at this point in time. Pete has locations that as of yesterday are in Arizona, and the state has decided that gyms need to close. Pete, are they open? Are they closed? Like, what ended up being the kind of decision on the move forward there?
Yeah, so his order came out last night that all gyms, fitness centers, must close by 8 p.m. So, we canceled our classes today, and we're still deliberating, but most likely are going to close our studio as well. This time around, it's interesting. There's some question around, as to, is boutique fitness really a gym, and a fitness center, or is it, more of a, appointment based, sort of boutique studio concept. So that's been interesting, but we're just taking our time, being patient, getting all the information, gathering everything we can from, the relevant health authorities and, the governor's office, et cetera, just so we can make the right decision, going forward. So.
Yeah. And I think in one of the things we talked about today is that, there's going to be some people who decide, that even if there is kind of a gym or fitness center closure, that they're going to go ahead and stay open. And I think that's kind of like a good, transition to David, in the sense of like David's scenario. He's got the studios in Texas, they're open. He has studios in Raleigh, North Carolina, they're not open and haven't been open yet or reopened yet. And then you have a new location in Greensboro that you just soft opened last weekend that is open through a technicality.
Yes, just opened Greensboro, which is in North Carolina. Just opened that last Friday. In Raleigh, we've been closed. We started last week to offer privates and semi-privates. We're sort of stepping our way up. The angle that we're taking in Greensboro is the Attorney General said, if you are a gym, you're allowed to service any customer that has a medical reason to be doing fitness in your gym. And so we've posted that letter, opened up under that premise, obviously letting our customers know that we are not the healthcare police as far as finding out what their medical reason for being in there is. And it basically lets folks in the community that want to work out, gives them the opportunity to work out. And we've actually had some really good success in Greensboro with it this past weekend.
Yeah. So when we talked on yesterday, Monday, I think you said, what was the number you guys sold in in your soft opening weekend?
Yeah. So right under 50 memberships, I think 40, 47, 48 over the weekend. Very strong weekend. Actually a little surprising. I thought we'd have some more suppressed sales because of it. What we did find is we had suppressed show rate. So folks weren't coming in. A lot more people signed up and then backed out of coming, but the folks that came bought. And I guess the concept is, if they're overcoming that much to come, then they're pretty serious. So so we sold sort of very, very high percentage of the folks that came to our intros.
Yeah, I think you thought like around 75% or more converted of people who attended, something along those lines. Yeah, it's really crazy seeing the consumer behavior right now. I think that the people who do want to come in and do want to be there are kind of the most rabid fans that we could have. Like they really, really do want to be there. And I think about, your example of saying like for medical reasons, I'm like, man, if my gym that I go to here in town closed, I I feel like I would have a medical reason, and that's so I don't lose my mind and go crazy, because I definitely need fitness in my life with everything that's going on, and it's hot as hell in Texas, so I don't want to do it outside. Um, so yeah, so we all represent the gamut of thought processes in around this studio that's maybe not technically supposed to be open but is, ones that are having closed, and then ours that we don't know, right? So we have the uncertainty of thinking, all right, if Arizona did this, then it's just a matter of weeks potentially days before California is going to follow suit and shut down locations. And we've had dozens of conversations, the three of us, throughout this corona COVID crisis, and and our thought processes have kind of like evolved along the way. Like we transitioned hard to like a virtual offer early, and work through that. We did draft on, David, you did draft off, and it's just all, there's so many decisions that had to be made. And my thought process right now is that it's almost transitioned from like an operator's game to a survivor mentality perspective, where it's not necessarily like, yes, you need to be a good operator, you need to make good decisions and be a good leader for your team, but it almost has to be just the commitment that you are going to ride this out and get through the other side. Because I think it's hard mentally. I mean, I'm sure a lot of, we had a client that, opened like on a Wednesday, and then had an instructor that tested positive for COVID on Friday, and then had to shut down. And that's just going to be what this is.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. It's not as much about, trying to squeeze out every bit of revenue in these early months. It's about engaging with your customers and making sure that you're playing for lack of a better word, the long game, making sure that there will be another side to this where we come out of it. Let's make sure that our studios are in a good position to exit it and grow once we're on the other side of it. Actually, what we're finding, and I'm sure Pete, you found in Arizona, and Brian, you're finding in California, there is demand for folks and new folks to come into our studios and get good value for what they're looking for. So that's very encouraging. But like you said, with the teacher that just tested positive, I think there's, the last curveball has not been thrown to us yet. So we have a few more curveballs left, and I think it's very important for us to have a little bit longer time frame that we look about the operation of our business. Before COVID, the way I looked at everything Club Pilates was on a month-to-month basis. All right, let's focus. How are we going to execute this month? All right, let's look back 1 month. What can we change, improve? All right, let's try and throw that into the next month. And I think here, at the same time you're doing that with your team, I think we need to look a little beyond that and make sure that we're playing for the 2021, setting ourselves up for a really strong 2021, because we have to get through this to be able to have a 2021. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. Whenever I'm down in the dumps, I just think, okay, we got to put this out for a year out, right? Or a year and a half out, 2022, and see where that's at. And, at some point when people feel safe, when the collective United States feels safe, like there's going to be an untapped demand that I think is going to be crazier than we've ever seen before, because there's going to be less choice. There's going to be less options. With all the different gym closures happening, I think Yelp came out with a study where like 25% of gyms have closed now, been marked permanently closed on Yelp. And so, as long as we can play that long game, I think that's important. One of the things I was sort of thinking about in preparation for this call was like, how do I sort of make these different decisions? Because, some of the decisions, that I've made are different, and it's just all based off the point in time we're in. But the framework I've primarily used is like, we have three main sorts of assets in our business. We have hard dollar assets. So you got to take that into consideration, the actual capital, dollar assets that you have. I think The second one is employee capital, human capital. How's your team doing? From a mental standpoint, an emotional standpoint, being able to work state. And then I think the third one is member and prospect capital, right? And asset, right? Our current membership base and our current pool of prospects are assets. And so, we sort of have to be aware of how certain decisions will affect each of those asset pools, over time, because that's what we're trying to build is a business that, has a high asset value, because that drives, that's why we all got into business, right? Is to increase the size of our assets. So, we can build wealth and realize our entrepreneurial dreams. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a good way to break it down and kind of think about it as, and you need to pay attention to all of those. It's like they're all really going to be key and really, really important. So one of the things I thought about also, like in preparation, was, so, I interviewed John Hewitt. So we're all, some people might get hung up that are clients of ours that think, well, yeah, these guys all have Club Pilates studios. That's not really relevant to me. But we were Liberty Tax Service franchisees before. Like, the game is the same. The cover is just different, right? It's the same fundamental skills that make you successful in DECA, LASH, and, any concept is it has those three components that you just described. And so when I was talking with John, he gave me some just kind of wisdom about, what does it take to be a successful franchisee? And the key characteristic that he said that everybody needed to have was grit. And, getting through something like this is going to require perseverance and commitment. Like, initially when I became a franchisee, I struggled quite a bit. And one of the things that I really appreciate about my journey is that I learned so much through those struggles. And the fact that I didn't quit was what led me to the success that I've, achieved in the last, 3-4 years, were really based on all the work that I put in. And I think, it's as a franchisee, it's okay to mentally get down during this process, because it doesn't matter whether you're a rock star and have been a high performer for a long time, or you're, a new franchisee really just getting going. Like, it's okay to have, a bad day. David and I talk about this all the time. Like, you kind of cycle up and down, right? Like, some days you're like going to kill it, you're going to take on the world, and it might be Tuesday at 3:00, and by Tuesday at 7:00, you're like, all right, I'm getting my butt kicked. It's just, that's okay. And I think a lot of people think that they need to have that positive mindset all the time. Now, with your own staff, you do need to, put on at least a smile and say, hey, we got this. But internally, it's okay to have some doubts and say, like, man, am I going to make this? And I know the answer is yes. Like, if you want to, you will, because, initially this felt like very much of a financial thing. It just came down to like the cash situation, but it's really not the cash situation at this point. It's the preservation situation. It's having the hard conversations with your employees, having the hard conversations with your lender, having the hard conversations with your landlord, and like not being afraid to have those conversations and know that you're valuable to all those people. Like, without your franchise location, your employees are not going to have jobs. Without you, your franchise location, your lender is not going to get paid back, definitely not the way that they want to get paid back. And your landlord is not going to have a tenant. So, like, you have power with all those people. Make sure that you know that, and you don't think that you just have to kind of roll over on everything that everybody else wants from you. You're the key of all those, you're the center of all those circles. So, being able to deal with that and not hide from it. I've found it's so much easier to deal with employees, lenders, and landlords by just having the direct conversations right away and being like, hey, I don't know what this is going to look like, but this is where I'm at. So,
yeah, no, totally agree. I honestly don't have anything more to add to that, except coming from a sports background, I agree. The adversity angle is, if I look at folks that I've been exposed to in the franchise world or in the business world, the high performers are those that overcome adversity. They get to the landmine or to the hill that seems like they can't climb, and they figure a way to get over it. They figure a way to solve the problem. Whereas your underperformers, the folks that don't make it through, the ones that allow things to get in their way, and they become the victim of that landmine or the victim of that hill that seems insurmountable. So overcoming adversity and having that grit is extremely important. which is why you need a great marketing company.
Unnecessary plug. That's not, like we talked about this like prior to the call, right? Like people are going to have to make the best decisions for themselves. And I don't, some of that is like, what is the point of having, why should you be marketing with all this uncertainty? And my perspective there is that we have these consumers on both sides of the coins, right? We have the consumers that have been founding members or lifetime members of our studios or businesses that believe that the processes that we have in place are too strict. And then we have people who believe that they're not even remotely strict enough, right? The reason that we all need to think about, marketing and the importance of marketing during this time period is because we need to find more consumers that fit in the middle, ones that are just want to get the hell out of their house. They want to get outside. They aren't super concerned about COVID. They want to get out and get their eyelashes done, go for a workout, figure out how to lose their COVID-15, that a lot of us have kind of put on. So I am a proponent for it, but I don't know, Pete, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the whole the grit thing and the John Hewitt thing.
Okay, go ahead, man.
One of my foundational sort of steps in my journey as a franchisee was after my first year, like being a business owner sucked. Like I was like, why does it suck? Like everyone, this American dream of being a business owner and is just, it's in the media, right? You just expect it's supposed to be great and fantastic all the time. And I found that those moments, those external moments of fulfillment are rather fleeting. And I was sort of figuring that out on my own. And John Hewitt woke me up at convention and was like, your job as a business owner is to take all the crap and all the issues. Like that's what your job is, is to handle all that and to handle the adversity and to get through it, and you just got to get used to that. Right. And so, one of I'm a big reader of Stoicism and follower of Stoicism, the school of philosophy from ancient times. And that's one of their core tenets is expect the worst to happen, be prepared for the worst, expect the worst so that you can game plan and not be let down when it does happen. And so, that's helped me a lot through this time. And I've had my downs, like it's not fun to think through another closure here, but if you expect the worst and I think we knew this was coming. I think we see that across the country, that this is coming. And I don't think we can be naive to the fact that we have to prepare for other spikes in October, January, February, March, and be prepared for what to do in each of those scenarios, because each of those times it's going to be a little bit different. And so just running through different scenarios in your head and being ready for anything is important.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I saw it coming, because I really wanted to be in that optimist camp of thinking, all right, we're going to get through this, be closed for almost 3 months, and then, start the process of like rebuilding to where we were before. But now that it's, becoming a reality, like I'm not going to deny it, and I am going to prepare for it. And we are going to think about it and talk about it. Like, what are the steps that we're going to, need to take if it does become a reality in our market? And I think it's going to be across the nation completely different. Some markets are going to go through it, some of them aren't, but you're all going to go through the change in consumer sentiment. Some people are just, they're going to be watching the news, they're going to be seeing the change in the kind of messaging around, increased, scare, fear about it and severity, and it might change even as you are open. So
yeah. And there's the staff dynamic of those same feelings also that we need to navigate through. Back to the marketing piece. Here's what I think. I've always felt this with marketing. I think it's always important to have, especially in a business like Club Pilates, to have people to talk to about something. So going through when all my studios were closed, we did cut off our marketing for a period of time, because I did not have anything externally I wanted to bring new folks in to talk to about, because I wanted to focus our attention on our existing members, as well as could focus on prospects that we brought in prior to. At the same time, the second that we had a message, the second that we had a glimmer of, here's our new open date, here's here's a proposed open day. We think we'll be able to open in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or we know that when we do, we're going to offer this product. I thought it was very, very important to get that message out and start building up that pipeline of people to talk to and people to get engaged. We all know that the machine takes a while to get going. And so I've always felt it was very important to go ahead and prime that pump. Now, the one mistake that I have seen made on the marketing side is, and I've made it, is if you're gonna turn on a campaign, make sure that you have the bandwidth to work it. So you don't want to turn it on just to turn on. Turn it on to get some results. Turn it on and work it like you would if you were open, and monitor it. And if it's getting great results and the results in good response, then increase it, or try expanding it. But it needs to be a very important piece, I think, of getting back reopened. Reopening does not start on the day that the government allows you to reopen. It starts when you have a message to talk about and you have a plan, and part of that plan needs to be marketing, I think.
Yeah, and at some level, budget, all those things become a personal choice that everybody needs to think through, for themselves and what makes sense. Like I've, been pretty aggressive and really maintained pretty high level budget through the entire time because costs were lower and I wanted to stay in front of the market. And is that the right way? That, like I said, it's time will tell, in the sense of like how fast can you get ramped back up, but mostly that's going to come down to the execution of your team anyway. Like a lot of it, right? Do they have the ability and the bandwidth to work and follow up with people?
I think the agility too. I think that's just a big one, right? Is agility to be able to, get new leads coming in to, when marketing's on or off or paused, or ad spend's up or down depending on how you do it. Same thing with just operationally, like working on your team with that agility ability. I think is really important. Especially over the next year and a half, because we know that's going to be one of the most important skills as a business owner to have.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I think we're running towards the end of the time we have allocated or allotted to this, but I just wanted to kind of put this little conversation together, for franchisees, for the people that, that kind of count on us to provide leadership for them when it comes to, marketing in their business, and share what our thought processes and our mindsets were around running our own locations. So thanks, guys, for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it. And David, congratulations on your soft opening. It's a pretty awesome result considering, the state of the world. So
yeah, thank you. This was fun. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Later, guys.
Thanks, guys.